Hi guys, welcome. My name is Shayda Campbell, and around here we get creative together. The holidays are a special time for me. I always feel like extra crafty and I want to do a lot at this time of year. I think that comes with like decorating and gift giving. Those are special to me, so I want to like put myself into them. That also comes with like a little bit of burnout, and especially now that I have Selly who's 2, we try not to get in like this habit of have to do it all, but there are a few things that I really love doing every year and I do try to make time for, and one of them is painting a few ornaments. I also felt ornaments. Usually I'll do 1 or 2 every year, and taking them out each year and putting them on the tree, it's a nice tradition. So if you would like to paint some ornaments with me, that's what we're going to do today. I've completed a couple already, and I want to do some floral ornaments together today. But I'll tell you about floral ornaments because I follow a lot of other artists online. I see a lot of floral ornaments, and there's been some like copying drama in the watercolor and artist community this year. Nothing to do with me, but it had an effect on me in that it just made me not want to like do the same stuff as other people, and it really made me push to do different things. I pride myself on being creative, but I'm getting extra creative now. Anyways, that's a story for another day. So what I sort of called on this year was this idea of like a Victorian Christmas, and I did all these fun patterns with stripes and stars, and yes, some florals, but a lot of like dots. If you are scared to paint ornaments, just start with polka dots and X's and stripes. It does not have to be perfect. And then you can work your way up to florals. I did some cute stuff like this where it's like, you know, little scallops and basically little stars and stuff. So just really quickly before we get into all of this, these are glass ornaments and I've painted on them. These ones are ceramic, and then I also have a few paper mache, and I'll show you. Like these are the paper mache ones here. These are really good if you have toddlers or little kids or cats, because you can paint them, you can spend a lot of time on them, and you don't have to worry about them getting wrecked. These wood ones you'll be able to find at a lot of craft and art stores. I think the flatness kind of makes them maybe not as like special. You know what I mean? And then you can even make your own. Like these are ones that I've made of air dry clay. There's a tutorial on my Instagram on Reels. Let's just get into it because I could talk all day. But anyways, get some kind of ornament blank. The only thing I steer clear of is plastic because I don't love plastics, but paper mache, ceramics, glass, even the wood or air dry clay. So there is a ceramic blank. This one's from Michael's. And I do all of this with just like these crafters acrylic paints. The reason I like crafters are because they're very liquidy. And so they go on to the ornaments without developing like ridges. If you're using artist quality acrylics, it's gonna be a lot more likely that they'll build up and you'll start to get like a texture and ridges in your ornament on your painting, and that's really not what you want. Although there's products you can use to make them flow a bit better and a bit thinner, even just water. You can always mix water into your acrylics. And so what we're gonna do is you take your blank, whether it's a ceramic, I threw mine on the floor, or a paper mache, and you're just gonna start by coating it in paint. And I don't even know if I said this yet, but what we are going to do today, I wet my brush here, and I just use brushes that are kind of like my leftovers. Once the bristles are a bit too messed up from my watercolor collection, oh my gosh, my watercolor painting brushes, once they're just a bit damaged and not great for watercolor, they become my acrylic brushes, especially for crafty projects. Back to what I was saying, today I'm going to teach you how to do some really simple, easy floral ornaments. Okay. What I was kind of getting into before is was a bit of a copying scandal between a few artists in the watercolor community. I definitely think that somebody was copying. Ooh, drama. She's a bit of a known copier. The whole thing just made me really just push myself to say, like, yes, I love florals, but I can do more than florals. I can do more than watercolor. And so this year I've been getting into acrylics, and I just take that push to be creative as a real positive thing. And for these ornaments this year, instead of just painting flowers, because I felt like my Instagram feed was just filled with floral ornaments and everyone dropping their floral ornaments, I just thought, what else would I like to do? Because I've done flowers before. So that's when I kind of got the idea for this like Victorian Christmas past. And I used a color palette that I really love, which is powder blue or a French blue with reds and burgundies and baby pinks and a little bit of green, a little bit of beige. So colorful, but muted. And so for these ones, we are going to do florals because you don't care who's copying who. And the floral ones really are beautiful. So anyway, oh my gosh, are you bored enough of me painting this? All you have to do to start is, whether you have glass, ceramic, air dried clay, paper mache, you're going to paint the entire blank, hang it to dry, or just don't paint the entire thing. And what I like to do is use little mason jars, and I'll just like leave that to dry. So let's put you over there. And then voila, we have one right here, all dry, beautiful powder blue paint. And all I want to do now is put some flowers on it. And this is when the tutorial starts. Whatever, we're like 20 minutes in, we're getting started. And so why don't we put you on a jar? So there, she's set up. Is that in the center? Yes. And we'll do some beautiful, simple flowers. So I'm going to give you my best tips for painting really effective florals. I'm going to pour out, so start with your crafters acrylics. You can get these at Michael's, Hobby Lobby, dollar store. Pour a little in the cap or in a jar, and then take a small round brush. I think this may be like a number 6. You could go even smaller. And just wet the brush and put a little bit of water in there. You want that nice loose paint. And then you want to pick up a whole bunch on your brush, but not too much. So you can see you've got almost like this marker head that you can paint with. And we just want to make like really, now I'm nervous. We want to start with a big shape and make another big shape while you've got lots of paint in the brush. Go ahead, make another big shape. And then as you have less paint in there, start refining those shapes. So use just the tip of that brush to join all those together. Tilt it slightly, dip that. Here, we'll come over here. This time I'm starting with the stem. I don't know, you could do that. Why not? And just focus on making motions where you're just letting the brush do all the work. And if you've watched my watercolor videos, that's what I always say. You just want to let the movement of the brush kind of make the painting for you. So there you go. We did get a bit of a ridge on that first one, and that's just because I had probably a little too much paint on the brush. That's not a big deal. You can come back in here later and work them out. If you put a little too much water, the paint might be a bit transparent. I don't think that's horrible. I think that gives kind of a nice painterly look. There we go. And of course you can go over things a couple times. Let's do another. And the key with these ornaments is you're just going to get good at a few simple designs. If you want to do some really tiny leaves, simply use a really tiny brush. In fact, we're going to add some berries to this later, so we'll use a smaller brush for that. Also, one thing I should say is these do not need to be perfect, okay? Like, nobody's gonna go up to your Christmas tree and start inspecting, so Some of mine are a little funny looking, or they have kind of a funny side, or one branch that's not like as nice as the others, and that is okay. So that's starting to look nice. We'll give this a bit of a rotate. I mean, you never want to set it down on wet paint. The nice thing about acrylics is that they dry rather quickly, so you don't have to worry too much about that. You know, I probably was a little overambitious with this brush size. I probably could have used a smaller brush, but that's okay. I'm gonna stick with it now, and we'll reach for a smaller brush for the next one. Let's put one right here. Another thing to think about when you're doing these ornaments is your negative space. Like that blue, all that blue in between is just as important as these leaves. You want lots of negative space in between the flowers, and it just makes everything look so much more sophisticated when you balance the design with your negative space. There we go. Don't touch the wet paint, girl. Okay. Yeah, I love keeping traditions like this, and at the same time, I don't like getting too crazy busy during the holidays, and it's hard not to get too busy. There's so many things I want to do. There's so many fun traditions, both like at home and with friends. I'm trying to find some balance. I mean, I'm lucky that I can do stuff like this for work. And then at the same time, I think because I do stuff like this for work, I always feel a bit like, oh, I should go get Sully from daycare early, and why couldn't I just paint a bit faster, you know? Like, no, you can't paint a bit faster. That's not really how it works. Oh my gosh, I had my finger right in it. Okay, that's fine. I will show you how to fix a mistake. For now, I'm gonna paint over the leaves one more time, and then anywhere where I got a weird spot. Obviously, you can come back in with your blue, but you can also cover it up with some of your other florals, so not to worry. Let's just do one or two more leaves on here. Nice smooth movements of the brush. The best leaves are when you like just do them in one or two brush strokes. There we go. How does that look if we twisty-turny it all around? Maybe one more down here at the base. And not everything has to connect either. Just be very loose. Well, I wasn't really thinking about how I was gonna set this down. I think everything is still wet. You know what? It's fine. It'll be fine. Acrylics, they dry notoriously quickly. That can be a good thing and a bad thing. I'm gonna rinse this brush. I'm gonna set this on, on its head. And I am going to, we're just gonna get you to stay right like that. And I am going to go and reach for a smaller paintbrush, and we are going to keep on keeping on. Okay. I've got two smaller paintbrushes here, and that's going to help me be a little bit more precise. I like my white leaves that I did, but you know, could they be a bit smaller, a bit finer? Yeah, probably. And I think it's a good idea if you're starting out to reach for that smaller brush. It's just going to be easier to be precise and control your paint if you're painting with a tiny little paintbrush. So why don't we, I really love the look of the baby or like French blue with the light pink and then with like a really bright red. So that one maybe needs a minute to dry still, but we're gonna put some beautiful red berries on it. We could do another though, and what I'm thinking would be nice is a little bit of dark green. So I'm gonna open this guy up. And gonna pour that out. We've got a really nice, super dark Christmas green. So we're using very classic Christmas colors today, and we can do a lot with these simple Christmassy colors. So with the green, we're gonna take a really tiny brush. This was be like a number 1 or a number 0 paintbrush. And we'll just do some, that just looks like maybe a lot of paint. We'll just do some little thin lines. And we'll just be careful when we do them. And then we'll start bringing lines off of those lines to make some little leaves. You know, my first one will be shaky as well, and then it'll get better as I go. So start on the back of the ornament, wherever that is. There we go. Make your leaf shapes, make your lines, just like we did with the white one, and we had that bigger brush and a bigger design. Here we go. Very thin little lines. And then you're just doing those tiny little brush marks. And then you take the tip of that brush and start joining everything together. Let's come down in here. Pick up a little more paint. Yeah, I think that looks really nice. And if you look really closely, it's very perfectly imperfect. But the effect when it's hanging on the tree is really beautiful. And if you're making these for friends and family, they're gonna be like, ooh, you did that? Dang, you really can paint. I do like to make a lot of handmade gifts. I just don't like to buy a lot. I'm so tired out with all the Black Friday this and Black Friday that. I'm much happier at a thrift shop where I can find a treasure that's not quite right, and then I start daydreaming about how I'm gonna make it into something that is really cool. I'm thinking a lot about presents I wanna make for Sully this Christmas. I'd like to paint him a little mat for his cars, actually design it myself. I think that would be a lot of fun. Although, you know, I will say with that, I get all these ideas about what I want to do, and then it can get overwhelming. That's the problem with the holidays. I've got all these great ideas and all this stuff I want to do, and then it kind of stresses me out a little. Just kind of try to do a little flick of the brush, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we'll just join them all together. Ugh, I need more paint. We'll just join them. Oh, I messed that up. That's okay. Just join them all together. Maybe make another one. I like the way that's looking. And I definitely think it'll be pretty to add some little white flowers onto this one. You know what? Let's just try a different brush just to see. So I brought a few brushes down. Try something a bit smaller. Okay, let's try this brush. Yeah, I like that a lot. Really simple, but it's gonna look so pretty when it's all done. If you have some big empty spots, you can always do some little mini ones. You don't have to do a whole branch. It could just be 1 or 2 leaves like that. And just leave it alone. How's that looking? I think that looks pretty much done. Are you done? Hopefully that's all dry at the bottom. Let's just set you in there and just hope for the best. We're gonna bring this guy back over. Tell me I didn't mess it up too much by putting it in there to dry. I don't think I did, actually. It's kind of amazing. The acrylics, even when they're wet, they're they don't smudge that much. They dry really quick, basically. I've already said that. Let's squeeze out some of this red. It's a nice Christmas red. And what I want to do is, we've got this rather large leaf design. So I think to complement that, we're just going to do these really tiny little berries. I'm gonna put this right in the center. I'm gonna try not holding it because I think that's stressing me out a little. I'm trying to hold it for the camera and talk. And I think I would prefer just to have the little jar hold it, and then you can see how easy that makes it. Let's do some really delicate little Christmas berries. If you look out the window, we're just having our first snowfall here today, which is I'm kind of feeling mixed feelings about it. I was really happy that we didn't have snow thus far. It's just once the snow comes, it's messy, it's inconvenient. It's fun to go like play in it once in a while. It's not fun to like clean the car off every morning. So that's kind of where I'm at with it today. Let's just put some sweet little berries over here. I like to do like 1 or 2 brush strokes for the berries. I don't know if I'm really happy with that. It looks like just not what I was hoping for. And then take your brush and just go right through them like that. Like these long, delicate berries, like 1 or 2 brush strokes. Yeah, that's much better. And then we'll just go like boop. That looks good. And like that one, it's not my favorite. Okay, fine. Nobody's ever gonna notice. Nobody's gonna know. And then over here where I sort of messed up, we'll just put some berries wherever I've got a smudge. I think working with just like 1 or 2 colors is really good, is a good idea. Just keeps everything looking very sophisticated, and it keeps this from taking forever as well. Especially if you want to make like a whole bunch of these, sticking to a defined color palette like this is a really good idea. And if you want to get really good, just like doing the same design over and over, it makes it very giftable or saleable if that's where your head's at. I like to change it up every time. Never get good at anything. Keep switching, keep changing mediums, keep changing designs. That's okay. Let's put one over here. And this one's gonna have lots of negative space, and I think that's gonna be a good thing. How's that looking? Let's give it a bit of a twist and see. Since I do have this one here that's composed of so many, it's really not my favorite, but I feel like I need to repeat that somewhere else. So let's come over here. Where's like the opposite of that? Over here, and we'll do one kind of like the same idea where we're doing this tight little cluster there. Now it's not like all on its own. We have a few weird tight clusters. What do we think? What do we say? What are we thinking? Yeah, I think that's pretty good, right guys? Right? Like maybe just 1 or 2 more berries in this big open dead space over here. There we go. Woohoo! Really what I should have done is put ribbon or string through them, and then when I finished, I could have hung them. That would have been really smart. Where am I gonna set you? Let's just put it back in the jar and hope for the best. Okay, and we'll bring this gal over here. And for this one, I wanna use the white, it's kind of like a light pink, the same color that I painted this one with. And I wanna do some larger flowers. So let's give it a try. I'll switch to a slightly larger brush, something like that. And I think this will be really pretty. I'm not even really sure what I'm gonna do. It's not a bad idea, if you're feeling like that, to try it out on paper first. But I'm just gonna wing it. The brush is kind of leaving this uneven end that I don't love. So I'm gonna get rid of you and try that first brush that I had. See if that'll be a little better. But I'm basically just doing like 3 or 4 brush strokes like that. And that's going to be kind of my big open flower. It doesn't have to be a perfect shape. We'll add a little color to it afterwards and it's gonna look like a flower. Now you really know you're watching a Shayda Campbell tutorial. We're just gonna make a mess and we're gonna call it a flower. We're gonna call it a leaf. It's a flower if you say it's a flower. And everyone's gonna know it's a flower because we put leaves beside it. Okay, let's just do a few little loose strokes. There we go. Ba, ba, ba. When you add these flowers, that's when this one really comes to life. The simple design, but it's really pretty. And I want to add a whole bunch of flowers. Whereas the other blue one, we've got lots of negative space. This one, I want to fill it in a bit and just make it look like super floral. Can you see that okay? Let's see, there we go. See, like, what kind of a messy shape is that? It's a flower if I say it's a flower. I'm kind of trying a bit of a different tutorial style today. You might have noticed, a little more casual. Let me know what you think. Is this a good style? It's important to me to try different things. Try new stuff. Do we have any more empty spots? Maybe right there, maybe one more. Just stick a funny old flower right there. It's a flower if you say it's a flower. That's looking good. Maybe a few like tiny flowers wouldn't hurt. You could totally switch colors for this. But all I'm doing, I'm sure you can see, but all I'm doing is just like these little X's. Okay, it's really starting to snow. Hopefully you can still see me. I'm sitting in a pitch black room almost here. I'll have to show you my Christmas tree before I go because it is glowing. And that at least is really nice. I'll show you around a bit in the dark. There we go, that's looking good, I think. All we really need on there is a little bit of some kind of leaf or a little bit of like a brown dot for a stamen maybe. That's gonna make the flower really look like a flower so that everybody knows, yes, indeed, that is a flower. That's what I'm looking at. And that one just needs like a big red bow on the top and it's gonna be so pretty. Basically, those are done. It's getting like, it's like a full snowstorm. So I'm gonna put some bows on them, put them on the Christmas tree, and I'm gonna call it there for today. Thank you for watching. And why don't I just show you, oh, please don't smudge. Why don't I just show you what my Christmas tree looks like and show you the snowstorm out here too, okay? Cozy Christmas tree. I still have to put the tree skirt on and maybe a garland and I'll get to it. But it is cozy in here this afternoon. Look at this. Holy moly. That's kind of pretty, isn't it?